So one is you start with the empathize, and then you have a define stage, you have stage of ideation, prototyping, and testing. The empathize and problem definition stage is actually the very starting phase of figuring out what you're actually trying to solve, right? So when you start picking up a problem, more often than not, problems are very ill-defined, misunderstood, or in worst case, they are unknown, right? Pick an example of if you want to build a solution for poor people, do you actually know what their problems are? Or if you know, maybe you think you know, but do you have you really experimented with this idea that you have, and do you understand that that your idea is really the actual problem, right? So the first stage is, of course, to find the right question to answer, and this is what we always begin with. The next thing is to understand who are your users, right? What is it that matters the most to this person? So understanding the user and their mindset is as much important. Then comes defining the problem. So you may have the best resources to solve problems, right? You may have best people with you, you may have best tools, but do you really know if you understand the real problem? Unless you understand the real problem, you're not going to be able to solve it, right? So you define and then redefine your problem statement. You iterate over the stages of asking questions, understanding people, and then you keep on refining the problem statement. Once you think you have done enough of research in this two areas, next comes the ideation of the problem statement, right? Everybody in your team needs to put their hands down on the table, do a brainstorming, so that since now you understand the problem, or you think you understand at least, you can brainstorm and figure out a solution, a minimum viable solution to begin with. When you brainstorm, the idea is that you think of solutions. Everybody in the room thinks of a solution. They dump their ideas. Nobody is going to judge the ideas that are coming in. You just keep on piling the ideas. So everyone needs to communicate here. The ideas eventually arise in between us, right? So if you can't look at a single person and believe that they are going to give you an idea. It is a communication, an end result of a communication that happens across the team and in between the team. Once you have an idea which you think is able to solve your problem, you need to build often, fail fast. This is one of the taglines that Facebook used in its early days: build often, fail fast. The idea is basically you build your solution, you prototype your solution, and you just send it out. Once you're at this stage, the next thing is to test your solution that you have prototyped, right? Whatever possibilities that you have already accounted for, and you have prototyped for it, you need to test those possibilities. You need to learn more about the users, and eventually you redefine and re-prototype all the solutions that you have already done. And then again, as I said, this is an iterative process. Design thinking is an iterative process. You have to keep on repeating these 5 stages again and again, from an MVP to a complete solution. Now, MVP is a minimum viable product. So this is the minimum, the smallest possible product which solves a problem. And I've crossed out complete here because no solution is ever complete. It's an ongoing process. You define a solution, new problems will come up, and then it keeps on going. So here I'm talking about a case study which happened when I was working with GoJek. We were trying to introduce a product called Pay Later. This was a payment solution in which you could sort of order products now, and then you have to pay at the end of the month. Okay, let's see this example, how we did design thinking into creating this the solution and how it went. So to give you an introduction of GoJek, it's a unicorn in Indonesia. It's equivalent to all the other products, companies that are listed on the screen. So one GoJek against Uber, Urban Clap, Zomato, Paytm, FreeCharge, and many more. And we were trying to introduce a pay later solution for all of these verticals. So this is it. Week one. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you see user research, problem definition, solution ideas, prototype, and testing. These are the 5 stages of design thinking, and each column is week by week per sprint, so every 2 alternate weeks, and how we progress through this. Now, in the design thinking diagram, I told you empathize is the first stage, right? But more often, it will not be the practical stage where you start. Okay, so the user research is, although an ideal place from where you want to start your product, but then it's not always possible. So what we did was we had a lot of Indonesians amongst us, developers, customer care people, some alpha and beta testers, and we got together with them, we brainstormed, and we figured out the problem definition. And then we came up with some initial solutions. This was week 1. Into week 3, now we had hired people, onboarded people who were able to do user research. And because of this, now we went, we had an initial idea with us, right? We did some research in the initial week. We had some idea through which we could talk to our users. So week 3, we go back to users, we talk to them, explain them the solution we thought of, and parallelly, we also start building a prototype which we can show to our users on week 5. On week 5, we are very active, and we are talking to a lot more users, engaging them through discussions. We are prototyping faster and faster. We are trying to build the solution, and we are also testing it by, sort of putting a small version of this pay later solution in our app. Week 5, we hit a blocker. What was it? Indonesia is a Muslim country, and they go by Sharia law, which prohibits interest paid on all loans of money, which means if we introduce a pay later option to them, we couldn't actually monetize it, right? They will be allowed to use our money to avail services, and then they were supposed to pay us back by the end of the month with some interest, which was the initial idea we thought of in week 1. And the very first prototype that we built was on food delivery. Food delivery was one of the very popular verticals in GoJek. They had about 1 million, 10 lakh orders per day at that point. And but there was very low conversion in food delivery. So we thought of other ways, other verticals to expand our services. Now, going to week 7, we came up with another solution, right? So we spoke to different users. We did another round of brainstorming, and then we figured out that a subscription fee for a credit line is not perceived as an interest on loan, which means we can ask our users to pay upfront or at a later point in a month, a subscription fee against the credit facility that they get to use. And this is all a product of our brainstorming, our user research, and this iterative process that we did, we prototype. This is where design thinking comes into practice in real world, right? And then there were more problems, right? Like I said, once you built a solution, it is not the end. It's not a complete solution. You have to improve it. So the next question was, how much fee are our users comfortable paying us now? Because it's not a loan anymore. It's a subscription service. Plus, we knew that our conversion in the food vertical was low, so we wanted to understand what other verticals we can expand to. And then this was in week 5. Week 7, we sort of figured out, based on our analytics and a lot of report study, that a lot of users who are taking cabs, they are usually in hurry and they can't load their wallet, which means when they want to book a cab, they are more likely to use a pay later service, so that they are more and more comfortable with this option. So we introduced the pay later into transport, and then we experimented with different service fees. Now, week 11, we had A/B testing in place, and we were testing different subscription fees with different kinds of users. We had demographics defined, and then something went wrong. Twitter was flooded with users complaining about differential pricing. Some users were getting to pay like 1% fee, some were getting to pay 5% fee based on their risk, perceived risk that we understood based on their demographics. So next set of problems, how do we gain back our customers' trust? And plus there were rising number of orders, a lot of users were now converting into transport. So how do we, upscale our operational things? And eventually this product became a very successful product, a very successful option for payment amongst a lot of users. And it needed to be integrated with a lot of other verticals, which meant we needed to upscale our solution, which we of course didn't build to that scale initially, because we were just experimenting, right? This is how you start. When you prototype, you don't think about scalability of the solution. You think about 10, 100,000, maybe a lakh users, but you don't think about 10 lakh users. Now, when you go to that scale, you have to redo. That's the only option. So the original code base that we wrote, it was dismantled. There was already a payment teams which took over the product, and that's how it progressed. Now, based on this story, the idea that I wanted to convey was, in life, we can also use the design thinking in our day-to-day life, right? Try to understand people, try to understand how they act or react to a situation, learn about their problems, find solutions, test, and always repeat, because it's an iterative process. Nothing is perfect. Thank you.
Right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your presentation. Now we'll go to Pratik, sir. Sir, can you start your video? I'll just ask. Yes. So, hello, sir. So, Mr. Pratik Gupta is CEO of Terasol Technologies, and so we would like to start with hearing about your journey. Like you have shared a part of journey with us. I also have it with me. I just want to hear it from your side. Like, if you can, for 5 minutes, if you can just go through your journey, like how it started from Sharda University and how did you land up to becoming CEO of Terasol?
Well, it's a long story, and I don't think so we had that much of time, but I can summarize the points I shared with you. Okay, I started in 2010 when I joined Sharda, Computer Science Department. And from there, it's all like, right now it's, for me, it's just connecting the dots back. Right. First year was fun, exciting, and the major breakthrough I got was when I co-founded this NGO called Kartavya. So I'm not sure if the people out here in they know this Kartavya NGO, because right now it's still working and it's going good. It's an NGO in the campus only, and where we were actually teaching the underprivileged students and giving them the quality education.
Right.
That NGO actually helped a lot, because when we backtrace things, you understand, running a company like Terasol, trust me, it's pretty easy. But running an NGO, when you are in a second year of your college and you have to deal with the teachers which are of your age group, of your courses,
Right.
and you're not paying them. Uh, Making
Right.
people work for when you're not paying them, so that was difficult, but that's how things worked out, and learned a lot.
So like I know like in August 2011 you founded this Kartavya
Yeah,
NGO, right, at campus. So
yeah.
how did you get this motivation? Like you were only into your second year, and then how this motivation came in you?
So
Normally, like students tend to enjoy their college life, right?
right,
They'll never
exactly.
think about
Right,
like
so
getting into NGO thing.
yeah, so there was multiple things which was happening in, right? So when we joined Sharda was actually in a construction mode. I guess
Okay.
it's still in a construction mode. So 10 years back, a lot of construction was going in, and a lot of laborers, workers, and their children used to roam around. They
Right.
used to, circle around our cafeterias, and the so those conditions, and then other variables comes in. We saw one senior from dental science. She used to teach few students, two or three students in a temple area. So that a lot of things connected. My friends, colleagues, we thought searching, and then we connected with Kartavya, which was a actually established NGO in ISM Dhanwad, and
Right.
we discussed things with them, and they came to our college and they guided us, and we opened a chapter here, and journey started all.
Great, great, great. And like in June 2012, like you joined like the PeopleSoft team from HCL, like be as a technical trainee. So for implementation of ERP in campus. So what was that part of your?
I guess that was my second or third internship, paid internship, and Sharda used to use an ERP called SIM from Global Infoways, and I used to work on that in my first internship. But suddenly the management decided to bring in this PeopleSoft ERP system, which I guess the university is still using it, and now it has been in a far better situation. So I worked with SCL team. They needed a spock from the college, and someone who is technical and who can guide them with the actual problems the university faces. And so I worked along
Right.
with them on various use cases.
Great, great. And like how I've seen like you have a good scores like in GRE 324 score, CAT you are 97 percentile. How will you motivate students? Like there are many people like we know that this V-shaped recession is coming up. There'll be people who will be taking up from B.Tech. They'll be planning to go ahead for MBA. So how will you guide them? Like 97 percentile is huge. See, like I can only dream of it, right?
Uh,
So
Trust me, it was easy for me, but yeah, again, for the student, it's not just the numbers. The preparation was like I was preparing for I was actually preparing for GRE only, and CAT, GATE, and other exams. They just fall in the line. The situation came in, and I just gave them, and I qualified them. For the students right now, there are a lot of options. One is like if you can even learn, or you can take something from my journey, is I did almost 6 to 7 internships in 4 years of our college, paid, unpaid, all. So those all internships that gave me those confidence and learning and skill set, that I was like pretty confident to start a company right after the college. Okay. Yeah, the ups and downs was there, and a lot of things we still take the guidance from a lot of people, but yeah, the confidence was there. So for the students, it's majorly to upskill yourself, do internships, paid, unpaid, whenever you get the time. Now the things are much easier than our times. Now you can do virtual internships. In our time we used to wait for
yes,
summers or winters only to do some internships. Now you can do virtual internship. You can work with some company with some small projects, and if you can't, start freelancing at least. We did it. Touchwood, I and Amresh, we all did that. Amresh is there. We used to work together. We used to do freelancing projects. So So that gave us a different aspect and a different view of learning. And
But like I've seen like when you qualified CAT, you were in the last year of your course, Feb 2014, right? So
yeah,
normally people normally students try to go ahead for CAT after the completion of course, and then because last year of college is something like those are the golden days, right?
right.
People are enjoying being super senior, and also how do you see this like for the students, like how can they start preparing for this CAT and GRE?
Yeah,
What's your experience
see,
on?
they have to be very clear whether they want to go for a job. If they are going for a job, let's better skill themselves into the same domain. Even in college, I feel like most of them even don't know, even they don't have that knowledge of like which field, which areas, like I have to go into sales, marketing, tech in front end or back end. A lot of such variables or jargons है जो अभी हम समझते हैं, but the students don't understand at this level. But this internships, they help them to know which category of job they have to do. And in case you're pretty clear that you don't want to go for jobs, you want to go for a higher education, you want to go for an MBA, or you want to qualify for a CAT, or you want to go for an MS or MBA from abroad, so you can go for GRE, GMAT, and you should at least start preparing from at least I would say the summers of third year. 4 or 5 months of preparation for every exam is enough, regular.
Right. I think we should get Amresh sir also on panel. Amresh sir, are you there? Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just. Can you start your video? We cannot see you. Right. So like there are a couple of questions will go from both the sides. Like from there's a question from Neeraj. It's on design thinking. So this is how do you deal with criticism on differential pricing? I believe the same issue plagues our food delivery companies.
Yes. Well, so you have to understand that criticism comes for various reasons, especially if it is about pricing. People are usually looking for discounts, and that's what you give them, right? And if I think 90% of our cases were people who were, on a higher payment plan, and they were criticizing Gojek because they wanted to pay less, and that's what we did with them. We offered them a lower subscription plan, and that is also a part of experiment, right? This is what the experiment is supposed to do. How the idea was to understand how much people are comfortable paying, right? And if people are not comfortable paying a lot more, then they will eventually are going to complain. We also have to understand that, for example, if I roll out a higher payment plan to 1,000 users and only 5 of them are complaining, that means 995 users are comfortable paying that price, right? So it's a successful experiment with the cost of 5 users being unhappy. And you give them for free, you give them other offers, they'll be happy for some time, and that's how you conduct experiments.
There's one thing I want to add with the design thinking. It was a very interesting interaction and the seminar by Amresh. I'm just want to add one stat, one of the stats. We have seen it with our company and we have seen it globally also. It's a standard stats. There are two type of things. People go with problem first approach or people go with idea first approach. And in the whole world, 85% of the idea first approach companies fail. So you can check it. The only problem first approach companies are there who are establishing and who gains it.
That's right.
That is all related with design thinking. You have to first go with it. It's not like you find some idea, you click some idea. It's about living that problem first. Knowing that problem. In fact, it would be great if you're facing that problem.
That's true.
Good. There's a question from Suraj. He's asking, how is design thinking like for us as a student? Like, how will be the job opportunities for design thinking?
Job opportunities. Okay.
Right.
Well, design thinking is not going to help you get a job. Okay, straightforward answer. But once you get a job, it is going to help you become an amazing developer, an amazing product manager, an amazing market researcher, because what you do is going to help the company build, scale, and make your customers happy, right? There's not something that will end up, you landing in a job.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So Amal is asking, any courses recommended for design thinking for someone who has no idea?
Well, I think what you can do is if you get projects in your classroom and if you have any ideas, a group of students, you can sort of practice this. This is not something that you learn in the book. This is soft skill. You need to practice it. You need to retrospect how you did, and that's how you improve. Whatever course material you are looking for, it was all here in this presentation. Okay, there's nothing more outside this presentation. What makes you different from other people is how much you have practiced design thinking. And the easiest place to start is if you get an assignment in your classroom, if you have a problem statement, a project which you are doing in which you are supposed to do in your class, gather in a group and try to do it differently. Try to be more innovative. Apply these stages, these principles, and see if it actually makes a difference in your life.
Right. So as you said, like try to start at the college level itself. Get from the projects you are getting, assignments you're getting. Can you give me example from your like college days? Like how did you used to implement the concepts of design thinking while making projects?
Okay. So when we were studying, we had poster presentations in our third year. I don't know if it still happens, but then the idea was you select a topic, you build a software, and you create a poster. You do a presentation in front of the entire college. Okay. And to be successful in such kind of massive events, you need to practice these things. How do we started? First thing was to figure out a problem which we wanted to solve, and of course we didn't have a lot of resources back then, so we had limited options, right? You have topics in your book, and you pick one of those topics. Now if you're given a topic to work on, very good. You don't have to do the hard work. But if you don't have a topic and you have to choose a topic, that's the difficult part, right? Because you also need to defend why did you choose that topic. Well, so we chose a random topic. We couldn't do a big user research back then. It was not possible for us. But then once we choose a topic, it is up to us how well we solve that problem, right? The other thing to understand is we are not very experienced developers, not very experienced presenters, right? And we had very limited mentorship as well. So in all that constraint, right? So what we did was basically we picked up a topic. Every other team picked up a topic, and then we figured out what actually we wanted to do with that topic, what kind of product we wanted to build. So you sort of come out with some user requirements. You ask your fellow team members, is this the kind of problem that I want to solve, right? You can pick up a topic and you can do thousands and thousands of features on that topic, right? I think my topic was on some kind of cryptography, and then you can build a lot of things around cryptography. It's unlimited universe. So you have to figure out what is it that is most important and also feasible, given that we had limited resources. So we figured out a few things that we wanted to do in our project, and all of our team members were sort of comfortable with it. They understood the topic. They were ready to implement it, which is most important, because not a lot of your friends will be good coders. Well, so that's how you figure out the problem statement, right? And then You start coding, you give it to your fellow student. You ask them whether this command line interface is nice or should we go for a UI, right?
Right.
And then if you go for a UI, what kind of UI do you want? So these are the kind of questions that keep on coming. And in between yourself, you experiment and you figure out what is the right way to proceed. I think we did this kind of work also in CPAR, Pratik. I think you'll talk about it more. Right, and then eventually, when the project completes, you talk to your professor, you show them a demo if they like it or not. If they have a feedback, you go back, you implement, and this is something that happens on day-to-day life, right? If you actually interact with your professors a lot, you'll build something. You go back to your professor, you ask them to give your feedback, and then this cycle goes on till your professor is satisfied. In this case, your end user is probably your professor, and he is satisfied that you have done a good job, right? And
one thing I want to add, Gagan, sorry
Yes.
for interruption. Yes, Amresh told about professor. So one thing also I want to add to other students, make a mentor. Just follow one mentor. It's not just the mentor on the paper which you all have. Have some professor, interact with them every day, discuss what you are doing, what are the new things. They have a lot of problems. They are working on a lot of papers. They will give you something, and this is how the relationship will build. Trust me, I and Amresh, we used to work with Parvez Ahmed sir, professor, and Misha sir is here. He knows it. Misha sir was used to be there. Rajiv sir used to be there. So we used to work with the professors. They used to tell us what new is there and what problems we can solve. And this is how it goes in.
Right. So this, I think we lost Amresh sir in between. So
no, I'm here. My internet is a bit slow right now, so I'm turning off the video.
okay. So there's a question from Mr. Prasad Rao. Like he's asking, how do I introduce the concepts of design thinking into my team? Would you suggest including user research and conversations into KPIs?
Well, if you can do user research, go for it.
Right.
But then you also have to know who your users actually are. That's another big problem.
Right. There's a question from Amal. He's asking, we have been hearing about design thinking. Why is there so much hype?
Well, Pratik, you're laughing. You answer.
Yes, I saw a very big smile on Pratik, sir. I think he'll be.
You're on mute.
Sorry, actually, there is a lot of hype, and better, Amrish, you tell what's the problem actually? Why the hype is there?
Okay, the hype is there because it is right now the only proven process which can take you to success. Understand this. If you are building a product, you are building it for someone to use it, right?
Right.
Hey. If you're building a product, was I frozen?
No.
Okay.
You're audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, if you're building a product, you're building it for someone to use it. And whether that person will use it or not, that defines your success. So that person is now a very critical part of your equation, right? So user research is there. Then if that person tells you that, I like this product, but I need some more improvements, and that's the only way I can pay you, X amount for your services. Are you not going to implement it? You will, right? And this is the iteration part where you prototype, you test, and then you re-implement. So in order to survive as a company, as a product, you have to implement this process. You may not call it design thinking if you don't like it, but this process has to be there. Otherwise, you will build a product which nobody wants to use, and eventually you'll shut down the company. That's what you're going to end up in.
Right. So there's a question for Pratik, sir. Like it seems we lost it in the answered one. Yes. So Suraj is asking to Pratik, sir, how do we find internships? Maybe like the students are quite afraid just because the companies are laying off. They're like just because of the recession period, people are losing internships also. So
No, interns are always preferable in a recession if they can do the job of
exactly.
someone
Right.
senior, right? So this is definitely a good time. People, in fact, students should not take it as a bad time. This is a good time for them to get into internships, and they can follow some steps. Standard is Google. You figure out some internships nearby, and now it's a global market. You can even find internships around the globe. Use some aggregator sites like internshala.com or other. uh, I'm not sure how people using right now, but in our time, I used to apply internships through, we used to send postal documents to IIT Bombay, to other research institutes. Then we used to get internship. This time it's pretty easy. You just apply to a lot of aggregators, figure out what you want to do, and see, and give a right proposition to the employer. If you will be giving a right proposition, definitely you will get a call.
So there's one more question. So is it good time to start up a SaaS company? So how
It's a
do
good time
we?
to start any company because the recession is looming in, and in fact, one of the world's biggest companies right now, they all came out of 2008 recession. After that, Uber, Airbnb, Spotify, a lot of good companies, they come up after 2008 recession. So yeah, SaaS company, building a SaaS company out of India, always a nice equation, and it also uh, that Mr. Prime Minister's initiative vocal for local, it will also work. So if you're making a SaaS company, making a product
Right.
which everyone is using globally, always.
So as you said, this is the right time for do experiments, trying out startups and all.
Yeah,
There are many times like students will be asking questions like, "What if I fail? What if I fail after 2 years? Then what will happen? Like whether my career is secured or not." So how will you answer that question?
yeah. So
Actually, there's a pre-question actually I have. So that is
failing
I
is a
must.
part of process. Failing is always a part of process, and it's good to fail, and it's good to fail as early as possible. So you should not be afraid of it. In India, the trend is different. People don't celebrate failure, but yeah, in Western countries they celebrate failure more than success. In India, people just uh, they just celebrate success. So you don't have to be afraid. Fail it.
Right.
Right. When we started in 2014, I mean, we had a lot of local failures. Those we call it ups and downs. It happens, and then you grow and you move out of it. All good.
Right. No, actually, maybe this fear is somewhere like, what if I fail, and then what? How will I use my 2 years of experience? Where will I show whether companies will take me or not? So how will you answer
Definitely, yeah.
that?
Definitely. So there is you don't have to worry, because whenever you're going for an entrepreneurship or you're starting some company, trust me, you're working more than a normal employee, and you get to know a lot of new aspects, and basically you get to know how it feels like when you are on the other side of the table. So even in case you fails down, there are a lot of opportunities for you. A lot of companies are waiting. They can use your experience. There's a lot of, in fact, there is a role, I forgot it. It's called, in startups, they ask for entrepreneurs in house. So that's one sort of a position in a lot of good startups. So they bring in entrepreneurs who can help them with a lot of other things.
Right. There's one more question. Like, do you see similarities with lean startup methodology?
Yes, it's quite similar. The only
Right.
difference is design thinking is more targeted towards product thinking instead of trying to think how the company will survive or what are the dynamics at the company. So you focus more on the product, but then the process is almost similar.
Right. Right. What questions should I ask myself when deciding for a PG degree versus going the job market? So there's again a question from the students. Like
Okay.
you both can answer like because I saw a big smile on both of your faces. So,
Yeah, it's a
right.
difficult one, in fact, because we both are graduates. We haven't gone for a master's degree, so actually we haven't gone through that phase. Uh, Amresh, do you have something?
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought of doing masters many times, but then I look at what value does a master degree holder and a B.Tech degree holder
That's the
bring
point.
to a product or a company. And in the end, it's all about your hands-on experience. And of course, if you want to, if you're market oriented and you want to develop products and you're into business, right? If you're into academics, definitely go for a PG degree. But if you are a hands-on person, you want to develop a product, I don't think it's a requirement.
Right, right.
Right.
So there's a question like we had it like before starting the session. Like normally nowadays everybody is talking about entrepreneurship. What about intrapreneurship? Like actually just got this question when the student asked about like what if I fail, right? So how we will get opportunity as an entrepreneurship, whether the startups or entrepreneurs are looking for these entrepreneurs to get them inside.
Every time we always look for that. Whenever we are not hiring freshers these days, but when we used to hire freshers, we used to look for these entrepreneurs. And I always used to say college is the best time to do a startup, because even if you fail, you have a lot of options. You don't have any expectations from your parents, from your family, your chacha mama, चार लोग क्या कहेंगे. You will get, किसी को पता भी नहीं चलेगा.
Exactly.
You do things in your college. It's the best time to do startup. In fact, this is the only thing we regret. We did after college, and when we get into that, we were like, अगर यही करना था तो this we could have started in a third year or maybe in second year or something. Right, so
Right.
they should do it.
Right. So can you like because in starting of the session you mentioning about like your friendship with your senior Amresh sir, and you had a good bond from starting itself from the life at Sharda University, right? So can you share your experience? How did you reach to becoming a CEO of Terasol, and how you landed up becoming a senior mobile engineer at care.com? How things started, just a journey, because students do find it's interesting. There's a this is a combination of a senior and junior, so like.
So I'll tell you my perspective first, then I guess Amresh can add things and can tell his own perspective. See, our journey till Sharda was almost the same, similar in the sense, and then it's a two different journeys, and um, people can, they can take a lot of pointers from those journeys. Um, I was junior. Yeah, Amresh is 2009 batch. I'm 2010 batch, and we met. I don't know. I forgot our first meeting, but yeah, he was a topper. He's a topper of his batch. Okay, and I was not a topper. I was like a typical average student. Uh, right. So these things happened, and we both. We worked together on research projects. This CPAR, there was a Center of Pattern Analysis and Recognition, and later on there was Intelligence System Research Group, ISRG, which was all formed under Computer Science Department. Professor Parvez Ahmad, Rajiv sir, and PK Mishra sir, and other people were involved. So we used to work there as a, what do you say? We didn't got any profile, but right now, if I say research interns or something, we used to work on problems. We used to do all these things which which came into this design thinking, problem solution, making software stuff, and this whole journey came in. He used to be always my mentor. Okay, whatever I've learned in my college, most of the things, it is because of Amresh, Professor Parvez Ahmad, Chandan sir used to be there, and a lot of other faculties. That was my journey majorly. And after the college, he went for a job. He was my senior, and the final year I was like alone. I didn't had anything to do, so I started cracking exams. I thought I won't do a private job. I don't do a coding job, but yeah, let's go with some exams. Let's go with a master's from US or Canada, and let's go for GRE. We cracked GRE, but the financial situations were not that good, so. Uh, I took up a job thanks to the CAT. CAT gave me a job. CAT score gave me a job at a premium institute which teaches CAT student time. So that was my first job. I was in final year and I was teaching CAT students. So that's how the journey goes in. And in 2014 August, I met Anup and Sanjay, who became my co-founder for Terasol Technologies. Those were my batchmates, but I was not that close to them. It happened. It's just a destiny, and we went for Terasol, and Amresh is a part of our journey at Terasol too. He helped us a lot because he has an experience of corporate world. We were in just a startup world, so we used to ask every time. We used to ask, okay, we got stuck here. Oh, what your company does, what standard companies does in this situation, and he used to help us. That's it.
Right. So we'll quickly take last three questions. There's one question. Any advice on cracking interviews at top companies? Okay. Right.
Amresh,
So,
he interviewed at Facebook.
wow.
Okay. Cracking interviews at top companies, right. You need to practice a lot. When you're practicing, you just don't think about solving a problem. You need to solve a problem optimally. Optimally in terms of, the ON complexities, time complexity, space complexity, but also in terms of design. Remember that you are going to be working with thousands of other developers, and they need to understand your code. If they can't understand your code, it's a waste, right? So these are the main factors. Your communication skills is very important. You're going to be working with people, across different countries, continents even. So you need to be very clear with your communication. I think these are the most important things. Practice a lot as much as you can. Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted it. That's a photo of CPA, Gagan, and all the
Okay.
people. And
Right.
the people from the computer science department can identify. This is Professor Parvez Ahmed and the whole team. Rajiv sir, PK Mishra sir. And
Great.
you can identify Amresh and you can identify me also, if you can.
Yes, I guess. Okay, yes. Now I can see.
Fine. I'm just
Right.
I just got this photo from PK Mishra sir on the WhatsApp just right away. He's on the call, so he just sent me.
Right. There's one question for Amresh. Okay, he has written question for Amresh. What are some lessons learned from expanding GoJek outside of Indonesia?
Outside of Indonesia, well, I don't think there was anything particularly very different. I can compare how Indonesia market and Singapore market was. While in Indonesia, it was very difficult to sell the pay later product. Singaporeans were very proactive. They just wanted to have this pay later product, right? And I think they launched Go Viet in Vietnam for transportation, and once you go international, there are a lot of different players. Uber was parallelly launching in these companies, acquiring Grab, and starting competition for Gojek. So it's a totally different dynamics versus playing in your own home country. So one of the most important thing for them had been having offices in these individual regions and hiring people, product managers, especially from the regions, because they understand the problems of the country, right? And I think that's the most important thing. You have to understand the local problem first.
Anurag is asking, I missed Amresh sir's introduction. I would like to know about his current occupation. Okay. So he's currently working as a senior mobile engineer with Care.com. So anything else in addition to this? If I'm not wrong, Anurag is someone from your connections itself?
Probably Anurag, maybe from maybe the president of this alumni association, if I'm not wrong.
So I would like to invite Dr. Monica Agarwal and Professor Shaheen Naz on the panel. Ma'am, any questions for just because this is Ask Me Anything session, you can ask anything today.
No, not any questions, but I'm impressed by what they said. They have been telling our students to go for real-time projects, but I do not know why the trend has been changing now. Long back when, I've been in the university since long, I find the students were serious then, but now I find the students that take these projects and internships very casually, But I find it very you are with the you and we are the same frequency, that if you do live projects during your studies, getting a job it's comparatively easier, and those projects help you in getting you a good job. And if the students are listening to this, please take into mind what we say is not theoretical. You have your seniors and the people who are working in industry. These live projects are a very important part of your life. You can miss your lectures, but please don't miss your industry projects, your internship and your projects. Take them very seriously. And the mentorship, which we also have been taking. Take anyone as your mentor. Can be not necessarily the mentor what has been allotted by the university, any faculty which you're able to connect, take them as a mentor. It can be your senior also. Now we have your alumni portal, we can be a senior. And I would request all the faculty members also who are present here that now, because we have started this alumni webinars, once we have more new students connected with us in August, new sessions, so we can have more of our alumni webinars where, because I feel my experience, this is the 7th webinar, that students are able to relate more with alumni. And what we speak, if the alumni speak, I think the students, that goes better into their mind. And two points what we have been telling our students, current students, that please focus on your projects and focus on your mentorship. They are saying the same thing. So lovely, Pratik and Amresh. I have not caught you, but yes, we had the same connection, and thanks for joining. Shaheen, do you have anything to say?
I also agree with Monica ma'am that mentorship and projects should be done properly. Also, I will add that students should be connected with the alumni always. It is necessary to connect with the alumni because they always give us path to follow. And I really thankful to you two people who spare the time within a busy schedule and give this motivational lectures and some questionnaire round. I am really thankful to you all. Thank you.
Right. Pratik sir, I think Pradeep sir is already chatting with you on WhatsApp or what?
Yeah, I guess.
Just let me get him on panel. We'll just connect with him before leaving.
It would be great.
Like just have a small Thanksgiving session.
He can connect because he's from computer science department and he has seen both as both me and Amresh as a kid, and he has seen our 10 years of journey, the whole decade. He knows it.
Pradeep sir, can you hear us? I'm Gaganjeet Singh from WOW. Pradeep sir, I think there's some. I think there's some problem in network connection. Not a problem. Just with your permission, like of speakers and panelists, I would like to conclude this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. You'll be redirected to a survey, and I request you to give your valuable feedback for today's webinar. This will help us improve. Thank you again for joining us. We are signing off for today.